Welcome back to the Lead with Levity Podcast. I'm Dr. Heather Walker, and today we're talking about something that nearly 1 in 3 U.S. workers say that they're worried about right now. It's the fear of getting laid off. According to a recent survey by Insight Global, 78% of Americans say that they're anxious about job security due to rising costs and company cutbacks. If you're in that camp, you might not talk about it, but you can definitely feel it. You can feel it in your chest, you can feel it on your calendar, and even in your conversations. It's that quiet fear that your job maybe isn't as safe as it used to be. Maybe your workload tripled after someone left. Maybe you were strategically moved into a role that now feels kind of random. Or maybe you just can't shake the sense that you're being left out of important decisions. You haven't been laid off, but something has changed. And now you're stuck in between all of this, stuck in between working hard while watching your back. And if that's you, this episode is here for you to help you breathe, pause, and really just figure out what comes next before someone else decides it for you. I want to talk about that moment when everything still looks okay on paper, but your instincts are telling you a different story. No one said the word layoff at your job. There's no company-wide memo, but you can still feel it. There are these subtle signs that things might be shifting under the surface. And they don't show up in the news. They don't show up in an all-hands meeting because leadership is honestly just doing their best to keep all of their options open right now. So don't wait. If you're waiting for a sign, I'm going to tell you right now, don't wait for a big announcement. Here are some early warning signs that you can look out for if you're concerned that your position may be at stake or that big layoffs are coming. Meetings are getting canceled without explanation. Your manager is suddenly too busy to check in. You've got long-term projects that are quietly winding down. And let me go back. If your manager is suddenly too busy to check in and you notice that all the other managers are too busy as well, they've all disappeared off the floor, there's a big meeting happening right now. We don't know what that meeting is about. It could be about anything. I've been reading the headlines lately. It could be about anything, but you should be aware that they are discussing something very important right now. Long-term projects are winding down. There may be budget discussions that are starting to happen behind those closed doors. Open roles are quietly removed from job boards, and there might be low-key hiring freezes happening at the same time. So what does this look like? This looks like you go to Indeed, you go to LinkedIn, you go wherever your company has their job postings, and you start to see that, we had more. Now we don't have as many. Now it looks like even though we're stretched really thin, we can't get approval for new positions. What's up with that? There may be a hiring freeze. They may or may not be telling you right now that there's a hiring freeze. Some companies don't want to say anything about that because they don't want people to panic. So they just quietly say, okay, we're going to leave the positions that are really super critical open right now. We're going to do our best to fill those, but we're not going to be approving any new positions. Other signs look like leadership that stops talking about their vision for the future. Performance reviews get skipped or rushed through. And then the last sign that I have on the list is the company stops spending on learning, travel, maybe even coffee. It might get that bad where they're like, all right, we're pulling the plug on some of these amenities that you have come to enjoy. And then comes the most dangerous shift. It's not in the org chart itself, but this is in your own head. Because all of this leads to a certain level of paranoia, right? And it's not just in your head. Gallup found that nearly 1 in 4 U.S. workers say that they feared being laid off in the past year, even without any formal signs from their company. They're just worried. People are worried and concerned right now. And they're still showing up. They're still clocking in, but the energy just isn't the same. And it's hard to feel like you're still part of the plan, right? When you're worried about potentially getting let go, it's like, should I invest my time here? Should I invest all of my good ideas? Or should I hold back? Should I hold on to some of that stuff? So, as one laid off worker recently shared in an NPR interview, they said you start to question everything, your skills, your value, whether you were ever really a part of the team or just a name on a list. I think that's a really appropriate example for the topic today. It's a really painful place to be too, especially for someone who's used to being dependable, loyal, and useful, right? And you might be thinking, is this just me? Am I being paranoid? Do they already know something that I don't know? And that's all really heavy. So I just want to take a step back. Yes, this is the topic for today. Yes, you are here on the Lead with Levity podcast. And I want to let you know that this episode is not going to be all about gloom and doom. I'm Dr. Heather Walker, and if you're here right now, if you're listening to me right now, and this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome. It is not all doom and gloom. I promise you that. It's just such a timely topic that's on the tops of a lot of people's minds, right? And so I thought that it would be inappropriate if I didn't speak to it at some point. Here at Lead with Levity, we help people lead themselves and others with clarity, peace of mind, courage, especially when things start to get messy, when big changes are coming, big transitions. We help them recenter themselves, reconnect with other people so they can have the energy that they need to move forward in a productive way. So today, and with this topic, I know that we're facing one of the hardest seasons that a professional can go through. It's layoff season. Whether it's happening to your friends or it's something that you're worried about might be in your own future, this episode is all about helping you find a way to be okay in the midst of all of that uncertainty. So now that we've named what's going on around us, let's talk about what it actually does to us internally. That layoff anxiety isn't just about income or a new job title. It's also about identity. It's about belonging. And in many cases, it's about survival. That sinking feeling in your gut is not something that you should just ignore. It's actually trying to protect you. Because when your role starts to change or even disappear, your sense of self can take a hit. You might start asking yourself, did I mess this up? Should I be working harder? What did I miss? Why does this all feel so personal? And here's the thing that no one really talks about. It's not just the job or the paycheck that feels like it's slipping. It can also feel like it's your identity that's slipping too. And if you listen to this podcast, if you've been listening, you know that work is not just a paycheck for you. You don't listen to things like this because you're just here to clock in and clock out. You listen because you actually care about your company, you care about your career, you care about having an impact on your community, on people's lives. So when things like this happen and they affect you deeply. And for better or worse, I want to challenge you to think about this. When you think about how work is connected to your identity, is it the way that you prove yourself? Is it the way that you show that you're in control? Is it the way that you stay in control? Is it the way that you have historically earned your sense of self-worth? Like if you were to go to a dinner party tomorrow and someone asked you, what do you do? And you didn't have a job connected to that, if you didn't have a company connected to that job, what would you say? And would you feel bad about what you had to say? Because if that's the case, then you better believe your identity is 125% tied up in your job and your job title and what all that means to you. So when that role starts to feel shaky, or when you're given a new job that just doesn't make sense, it can make you feel like your whole foundation is starting to crack. And you might still be showing up every day, still responding to every email, still giving 110%, but inside you might be quietly wondering if any of it really matters anymore. And that internal tug of war is exhausting. From the people that I speak to every day about the concerns that they have, it is obvious that it is wearing on them. So let me say this to you, if no one else has, you are not a random placeholder. You are not a leftover, and you are not invisible. You might be burned out right now. You might be frustrated. You might even be numb right now. But underneath all of that, you are still the same powerful, capable person who got this job in the first place. Don't forget that. So I want to get to the part that is probably rattling around in the back of your mind. Should I stay or should I leave before they decide for me? And if you've been watching the signs, if your gut's been raising all of these red flags, it's normal to want some clarity. And not just clarity, you want security. You want respect. You want information, right? And a sense of control over your life. You want to know that you still have options. And you want to know like yesterday or today, right now. You want to know. And I get that. Thinking about it can easily turn into obsessing about it. And before you know it, survival mode starts to kick in. And depending on how you're wired, it shows up in different ways. So if you typically fawn, you may start working late, volunteering for everything, saying yes when you really should say no, all in the hope that being extra helpful is going to protect you somehow. So we're talking about flight, fight, freeze, and fawn here. If you typically freeze, you may find yourself at work just staring at the screen like, oh yeah, 5 minutes just went by and I don't even know what happened. Doom scrolling job boards, procrastinating. You're overwhelmed, so you do nothing. If fighting is your go-to style, you may get a little bit snappy with people, defensive. Every policy change that gets announced might feel like an attack. And your instinct is to argue or challenge or brace for impact. And then the last group is flee. So if you typically flee or flight, you may panic and start to apply to 30 plus jobs in one sitting. I'm just going to apply. Someone's going to take me. None of these jobs actually excite me. I just want out, and I want out right now. Do you see how all of these styles can lead you to doing some things? They're normal reactions, right? They're your brain's way of trying to protect you. But if you leave these things unchecked, if you don't pay attention to how you typically respond to challenging situations, it can start to cloud your thinking. It can lead you to make decisions that are reactive decisions. They're based on fear and not alignment with your purpose, not in alignment with what's possible for you. So survival mode makes us impulsive. We want to run, hide, fix, do something, anything, just to escape the tension. But before you make a decision out of fear, I want you to just remember that even in uncertainty, you still have power. So ask yourself these things. What has actually changed since I was hired? Is this new role or workload temporary? Or am I being quietly pushed out? Or am I being asked to do something that's permanent and it's something that I just cannot accept? I cannot do this. Do I still trust my team? Do I still enjoy the people who are here? Do I still believe in this mission, in the direction that we're headed in? Am I staying because it's safe and because I'm kind of worried about what's happening outside of the bubble? Or am I staying because I'm scared to leave, right? Why am I actually staying? And if I woke up tomorrow and I had full permission to choose what's next, what would I do? Just some things to think about, to start asking yourself these questions, right? Step back from the chaos and really take some time to take stock of where you are. I spoke to a leader recently and she said something that I was actually I was proud. It was a proud moment. I was very happy that she said this. I've never heard a leader say this, but she said that she does spring cleaning with her calendar every 3 to 6 months. And because people tend to just drop things into every little nook and cranny of the calendar. And before you know it, you're looking at your calendar and there's no time for you. There's no time for you to think, to eat, to even delegate stuff to other people because you just don't have time. So every 3 to 6 months, she stops and she looks at her calendar and she takes stock and she reevaluates what is important, what is the priority, what should I be focusing my energy and my time on, and anything outside of that needs to go. And that allows her to maintain her sanity and her peace of mind and her ability to stay fresh and present for her team. So you can do the same thing with your sense of purpose, your goals and ambitions, and where you want to go in life. Because if you're not careful, over time, you can start to drift because I've said yes to too many things that aren't in line with my purpose. Yes, 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 yes. Before you know it, I'm not walking towards that anymore. I'm moving in this direction. So it's really good every once in a while just to take a step back and say, wait a second, I'm doing all this stuff. Yes, I'm getting a paycheck. Is it still in line with what I want out of my career? Even in times like these, you can still ask yourself that so that you can start to plan. If it is off track, how do we start to get it back? So sometimes the job, it still fits, right? It still fits. You're like, yes, on paper, yes, 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 it makes sense. But on paper, in theory, I can still get it done. I can still meet expectations, maybe even still getting some praise for what I do. But inside, I'm not that excited about it. I still feel a little restless, right? Maybe the job is fine, but it's no longer connected to the mission, my mission. It feels out of sync. I feel out of sync with what I've been asked to do, right? And sometimes that feeling is actually your inner voice trying to get your attention. It's a signal that maybe it's time to reevaluate, to shift direction, to stop settling for a version of your career that no longer reflects who you are or what you want. But here's the upside. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you to quit your job. Because no, I'm not telling you. I will not tell you to quit your job, especially if you don't have anything lined up on the other side of that resignation, especially in this current economy. But I do want to talk about an upside to layoffs. Yes. Can you believe it? There can be an upside to layoffs if you know what to look for and how to look at it. So layoffs and role changes can actually open doors that were closed to you before, right? Maybe you've outgrown your current role and maybe you just needed a nudge to step in and step up and serve your organization in a different way. Maybe this season, even though it's uncomfortable, is giving you a chance to step into work that fits who you're becoming, not just who you were when you started. As long as your company is still in business and you've been following the blueprint that I have set up for you, chances are very good that leaders are looking at you and they're saying, where can we put this person? We love this person. They are amazing, and we want to make sure no matter what, there is a home for them. They may put you in some weird spaces though. So it's up to you to take stock and say, wait a second, is this really in line with where I want to be? Because opportunities will come. If you follow the blueprint, you will always have access to opportunities. The question isn't, do I have opportunities? It's which opportunities do I want? So as long as they're in business, chances are good that they're still going to need people in core functions, and it may be a chance for you to move into one of those functions. And before you say, wait a second, what if I don't want to move? What if I don't want to move? What if I want to stay right where I am? I like it here. I've spent the last 5 years carving this out. I know the files. I know the people. I know what I'm supposed to do. I don't want to move. I'm done. I know. When you've invested so much of yourself into a company, it can be hard to even think about leaving that company. When you've poured so much of your energy and your identity into a role, into a job, into a department or a team, it can feel really personal to even consider stepping out into another one. I get that. But sometimes it does make sense to leave. So if you've been waiting for you can leave your job, this is the part where I'm going to talk about that, okay? Because sometimes it does make sense to leave, especially when the signs are really hard to ignore, right? The writing is on the wall, and you can obviously tell, hey, if I stick around for 3 more months, for 6 more months, for 9 more months, there might not even be a company here at the end of that. Sometimes the writing is on the wall, and if you see it, you really should start to plan and prepare, right? So if you find yourself in a place where you're no longer learning, you're no longer growing, you're no longer treated with respect, which is huge. And honestly, these are whether your company is thinking about laying people off or not. Growing and having opportunities and being treated with respect are bare minimum, right? Those are really clear indicators that you're not in a good place that is going to be healthy for you in the long term. Maybe you'll be able to stick it out for now, but it's going to take a toll. Either you're going to have to fight your way to respect, or you're going to get to a place where you just shut down and you stop trying, and it's going to hurt your confidence. So if you're in a situation like that, please hear this. You can find something else. You can. And if you tried to raise concerns and nothing happens, nothing changes, if you feel like your values are clashing with what's being asked of you, or if staying is actually costing you your health, your confidence, your future opportunities and options, those are signs. We all have a gauge and a meter and things that we look for, right? And a threshold, like what you can take might be different from what I would sit through and be okay with. But it is important for you to take a second and pick up a piece of paper and write those things down. What are my non-negotiables? And at what point will I say, all right, sayonara, it's time for me to move on, because too many of these non-negotiables have been checked off, or it's just gotten to the point where even one of these is creating problems in my life, and I can't be here for that anymore. I'm not available for that anymore. So those are some things to think about. And what I want to convey to you is I am not judging you. Leaving isn't a failure. You know, it's you choosing you. And sometimes that choice opens the door for exactly what you've been craving, whether that's more purpose or better boundaries or simply a team that sees you and that values you. That being said, before you make any big moves, I do want you to look around because sometimes the right next step might still be inside of your company. inside of your organization, just in a different role or department, a different manager, different type of work. There may be some opportunities there. So before you just say, okay, I'm done, I'm leaving here, bye, take a look. Whether you decide to stay or go, try not to attach any extra meaning to it. It's not a test of your loyalty or your resilience. It's just a decision. Let it just be that. It's just a decision that I made. What matters most is that it's made out of a place of alignment, not fear. So that's why it's so important for you to take some time to reflect so that you know that when you make this decision, you know why you're making this decision. It's not just this emotional thing. So I want to close with this takeaway for you. Moving from a position of clarity, knowing what you want and why, that's how you're going to take your power back. If you've been feeling like disempowered lately, if you've been feeling like you're just on the side watching and waiting for your job to be next, that scenario isn't going anywhere. What you need to do is take a step back and make sure that you take care of yourself first and that you're taking some time to plot out your moves. And if you're feeling that layoff anxiety and it feels like you're stuck in the gap between what felt stable last year and this uncertain void ahead, and it's a pretty big gap, right? I want you to know I see you and I want to stand in that gap with you today. So what I'm about to share, it's not advice. It's more of something to tell yourself every single day. It's a commitment that you can carry with you on those hard days. You can repeat it. You can remember it. You can remind yourself of what's important. Make it stick so that when that fear hits, this is something that speaks a little bit louder. You want that hope to be louder than the fear that you have. So here we go. I won't ignore my gut. I won't let fear drive my decisions. I will pause before I panic. Very important. I will ask better questions before chasing quick fixes. I will give myself permission, yes, permission to want more without guilt. And I will choose clarity over chaos every time. You may be standing at a crossroads right now, but you don't have to figure everything out today. And if you're still listening, I want you to know this. You're not alone. You're not stuck. What you're feeling right now, this heaviness, this fog, it's not going to last forever. This too shall pass. But in moments like this, what makes a huge difference is having a way to just think clearly and to get back to trusting yourself. And that's exactly why I created the Career Currency Roadmap. It's a bundle of tools that will help you realign with what matters before burnout or fear makes that decision for you. And inside this bundle, there's something called the Clarity Compass. And it's made for moments just like this. It won't tell you what job to take, and it won't pressure you to leave or to stay. What it will do, though, is it will help you ask better questions, to see your blind spots, and really make a grounded, confident choice about what's next. You're going to find a link to the Career Currency Roadmap in the show notes. And in the next episode, I'm actually going to speak to those of you who have experienced a layoff, maybe even just this year. So until next time, keep trusting that inner voice. I believe in you. You've got this. And if you need to, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at info@leadwithlevity.com.
Thanks for tuning in to the Lead with Levity podcast. To get resources mentioned in this episode and find out what we're all about, check us out at leadwithlevity.com.